Before we start tonight's video properly, just got a few little announcements to make to you guys that I think are going to be quite important. First things first, obviously the UK is currently on a bit of a lockdown. It means that I'm going to be at home for the next few weeks, not at work and things like that. So essentially, I've got a lot more time to be creating some content for you and things like that. And I want to start to get into a little bit of live streaming and things like that. So tonight is going to be the first ever live stream. This is why tonight's video is coming out at 6 p.m. because at 8 p.m. over at twitch.tv/TomFM, I'm going to do my first ever live stream. I'm getting a few of my lifelong friends along and we're going to be doing some fantasy draft mode, which should be quite exciting. So that's going to start at 8 p.m. and we'll go on for, I'm not quite sure how long it'll go on for until we finish, I suppose. So that could be quite late. I don't know. Not a clue. I'm not entirely sure how live streaming properly works. But head over to Twitch. There'll be a link in the description to go and head over there. Drop me a follow on there and get ready for 8 o'clock tonight where we're going to be doing some live streaming, which should be really good fun. So I look forward to seeing you guys there. And the other thing that I just want to talk about as well, obviously, is, of course, the restrictions in the UK with the lockdown have got a lot more strict, and I just want to let you all know that I'm thinking of you all and make sure you all stay healthy, keep well, stick to what you're meant to be doing by staying at home. I know it's not the easiest thing to do. I know it's a very challenging situation for everyone, but just look after yourselves, look after your family, and we'll all get through this. Of course, I know a lot of you guys contribute towards the Patreon as well, and I know that at the moment a lot of people, some people are losing jobs and are on less income and things like that. So just want to say, if you're on the Patreon, I put an announcement out earlier on, but if you've not seen that, if you want to stop donating and things like that because of the situation, please do, because looking after yourself and your family is far more important than donating to me and things like that. Of course, if you still want to donate, that's absolutely fine. If you want to start donating, that's absolutely fine. But of course, at the moment when everything's a little bit up in the air, just look after yourselves. That's what I want to say. Look after yourselves and keep healthy, keep safe. That's what I want to say. So let's get on with today's video, because that is going to be so much more exciting for a brand new season and hopefully a challenging season as well. We can try and look and go for promotion. Hello and welcome back to Around the Bloc. Hope you're all doing well and looking forward to a brand new season with Naftan. We've got the club. We've sort of made it our own over summer. I'm looking forward to showing you who we've brought into the club. And hopefully this season, we can have quite a bit of success. So, of course, this Naftan job is our first job in management. And last season, we came in towards the end of the Belarusian season. And we had our first game against Dynamo Brest in this Belarusian Cup third round. We lost it, but after that, we did very well, turning the season around, I've got to say, and having a very nice bit of form towards the end of the season. And we sort of thought to ourselves, we're doing quite well with this team right now. Let's try and keep the spine of the squad the same and then add on a few little bits around the edges to try and build that squad up. And that's what I've tried to do, essentially. We haven't had too many new additions, if I'm honest with you. We have lost a couple of players and things like that, but we have built a squad that I think is capable of potentially winning the league come the end of the season. Before we get into any of that, though, there was some big news over summer, and it was to do with the club being sold. Now, the club in the end didn't get sold, but the owner is still looking to sell the club. But for about a month or so, it was just backwards and forwards of the club's going to be sold, it's on the rocks. The club's going to be sold, it's on the rocks. I've got the screenshot up now for you. You can just see how mental it was. So for just ages, I was sat in the transfer embargo sort of thinking, twiddling my thumbs thinking, what on earth am I going to do? The transfer embargo did affect us a little bit. We could have brought some better players in if we didn't have that transfer embargo. And because we had no takeover, nothing's really changed at all, which is, again, a bit frustrating, but we have managed to bring in a few good players to the squad. Now, because the Belarusian leagues run from April to November, that's in one calendar year, so rather than being like a 2019-20 season, it's just a 2019 season and a 2020 season. And because some of the players I brought in before the turn of the year, some of the players that we brought in still classed towards that 2019 season for some particular reason, whereas some now classed towards the 2020 season. Now, obviously, we knew that we were going to be losing Shubko because he had a contract signed with Torpedo long before I came to the club. So he was always going to go and leave the club, which was kind of frustrating. So we were a defender down there, which is one player we've lost. But also, for £31,000, we've lost Elvin Aliev. Now, I would have rejected that all day, but the board came and accepted it on my behalf, and there was nothing I could have done. I wanted to build a squad around Aliev, but unfortunately, he's been sold now. He's gone to somewhere else, and he's only sitting in the reserves of Grondo, which is a bit frustrating. But I thought he was a great player and could have been a great player for us this season, but he's been sold, so we've had to make do with some other players. So, going on to the ins instead. This player also left, but I don't think we ever saw him play a game. He was a striker that never played a game for us, so we can forget about that. Going on to the ins, though, we have to go back to a 2019 season first to sort of have a look through. The first player that we brought in is called Daniel Selinsky. Now, he is a central midfielder with only 2-star current ability. So he's more of a backup central midfielder, I've got to say. But he had decent potential. He was young, and I thought potentially he could be a great player to bring into a squad. So here is Daniel Selinsky. He's played for Belorussian last season, played 7 games for them. So hasn't played much football recently. In fact, that was 2018, not 2019. So he's been out of football for a year or so. So hopefully he'll come in and play quite well for us. The next player, I think you've seen briefly, Artem Sitko. He was on trial with us at the end of last season. And he is a right winger. 2.5-star current ability on that right-hand side with 4.5 stars of potential. 20 years old. He's on non-contract terms with us as well. So potentially he could be poached at any time, which is a little bit frustrating. But it does help us out with our wage budget and things like that. He gets £90 per game he plays as well, which is quite low compared to what other some players are on. So he comes into the club as the best right winger. I tried so hard to get Moses back to the squad. We had a bit of £2,500 accepted, even though we didn't have £2,500 to spend. But then another club came in and offered 60k for him for some reason, and they got him instead. So we haven't got Moses back, unfortunately. So Moses has gone elsewhere, and he's sitting in the reserves of Bate right now, which is understandable. Bate are the best club in Belarus, pretty much, so he's gone there instead. After Sitko, we brought in another player with a hyphen in their name, Anton Kilman. He is a left midfielder, so we had to get someone there to be backup to Temelo, who's looking very good this season. I think he's going to be our star player. But Anton Kilman, 3-star current ability, 4 stars of potential, 21 years old. Again, he's also on non-contract terms as well, so could be poached at any time. But again, it means we have to pay out so much every week on contracts and things like that. So we are saving money as a club, which is quite nice. He's played around a little bit, played at Minsk and another team called BGU, who made appearances with them, but never actually played for the Minsk first team, unfortunately. And again, 2019 didn't seem to have a club or anything like that, so he's come in for his first club for a little while. We've then brought in a guy, and I'm going to have to try and really focus on how to pronounce this, Artem Vysotsky, which actually isn't that difficult. Just the V's and the Y's look a bit complicated to me. Anyway, he is a centre-back with 5 stars of potential. Non-contract terms again. Only 1.5-star current ability. But he's a player that I think we could look to develop a little bit and try and get him playing quite nicely. So hopefully he'll be a good backup for us and develop quite nicely. He's been at another club and hasn't played a game for them in the highest league, which is understandable because he's not that good yet. But marking of 12 I think is pretty good for his age. 8 heading, 8 tackling. Like, he's got the makings of a good defender. We just need to make him better and then he'll be a great player. We've then brought in another Artem, and we're going to have to be very careful with how we say this guy's surname because Rapiko doesn't quite rub well with me. I feel like that's a bit of a dodgy name to give him, so I think, I don't know, Rapiko is probably the way I'm going to say it. Rapiko, there we go. He's a left back coming in as, at the time when we brought him in, was going to be our first choice left back. We've actually brought someone else in who is going to replace him, which is why he's got my number 2, which is going to be really frustrating because our new left back is going to be like number 14 or something like that, which is a little bit frustrating for me. But he is a left back, looks pretty good. He got some good crossing of 9, some good dribbling of 8, so could make a good fullback as well, but has also got the good stats to make a nice fullback as well. 3.5 stars of potential, which he might reach. He might not at 23 years old, but hopefully he'll be okay. He's played at a few clubs. Belorussian last season, making 10 appearances for them, so hopefully we'll sort of continue a good bit of form into this season and play quite well for us. So they're all the players that came in before the turn of the year. I think after that we had the transfer embargo, and then we had to wait a little while until the 14th of February to bring in our next player. Of course, we lost Alaviv to another club, so we had to bring in another striker, and in on loan is Denis Farago. He is a striker with 4 stars of current ability and 5 stars of potential. If he's not the top goal scorer this season in the league, I don't know who's going to be. 14 dribbling, 14 finishing, 13 first touch, 11 technique, 14 off the ball. He looks incredible for this level. He's probably too good for this level, really, but we've got him for the season, which I'm really excited about. So expect Denis Farago to score plenty of goals for us. We then brought in another guy on loan called Sergey. Okay, let's have a go at this. Shegrigovic. I'm saying, I think I'm getting it. Shegrigovic. I feel like maybe Sergey is going to be something that we'll use, but we'll keep the surname for now to try and learn it. But he is going to be our first choice right back this season. He looks pretty decent, I've got to say. I'm pretty pleased with how he's looking. He has got declining attributes, as you can see, because he's not been training particularly well, but his physicals are absolutely incredible. 10 crossing as well, good bit of dribbling on 7, but also quite good defensive stats and attributes as well. So hopefully he will be a top quality right back for us. And finally, coming in on loan from our parent club, Vitsbutsk, which I've probably said that completely wrong as well. Vitsbutsk. I'll get over it at some point. I'll learn how to say these things. But Nika Basaria comes in as a first choice at left back, but won't play in the first game of the season because he's literally joined a few days before his first game of the season, so he's not quite up to speed with the rest of the club yet. But 3.5 stars of current ability and 4.5 stars of potential, I think will be very, very useful for us and be a good player. So I'm quite looking forward to seeing how he plays this season. I think he's going to be, because we were really lacking at right back and left back, and I feel that these two lone players that we brought in are going to be massive parts of our squad, and they've really improved that defence and helped solidify it quite nicely alongside Borisov and Crazy. So I think we should be keeping quite a few clean sheets this season, which I'm very, very happy with. I think Firago is going to be scoring plenty of goals at the other end of the pitch as well. So I think we've got a very, very good side this season. And so a few of these players do drop into the first team today, but we do have some familiar faces returning as well after the season break. Sasakovic stays in goal as he was last season. We've got Rapiko on the left back with Borisov and Crazy retaining their centre back positions. And then Shegrikovic, which I think I'm starting to master now, Shegrikovic starting at right back instead. So he's a new face to the squad. We then have a pretty actually familiar midfield. We've got Timelo, our old favourite Shitty Gel, and Zach, and then Sitko, the new guy on that right-hand side. Abademi is on a month-to-month contract. I've not actually given him a new contract, but he didn't leave the club for some reason, although I wanted him to leave the club. But he's still here on a month-to-month contract, so he'll start today in the attacking midfield position and hopefully helping Firago score plenty of goals this season. Now, we do have a few new players on the bench. We've got a few old players as well. Yanchenko is a player that we had last season that we didn't really use too much, but he's going to be more of our backup striker this season. He's, I think, the second best striker we've got at the club now, actually, as well. So he is going to be the backup to Firago this season, but only scored 1 goal last season, so perhaps he's not that great of a striker, but we're going to have to give him a go this season. We also have some of our youth candidates sitting on the bench as well, because we have to satisfy these under-20 rules, which I've just realised I'm not doing because we've only got one under-20 player in the starting 11. That means we have to have someone else in the starting 11 who is under 20, and we have got quite a host of them today. We've got a few of them, but we've got to have someone else there, and it might be Shakov at right back instead. I think that's what we're going to have to do. We'll have to take off Shegrikovic and bring Shakov for the first game of the season, which is a little bit risky. He's only got 1.5 stars of current ability, so he's not quite there yet, but 4 stars of potential, 16 years old. He should be able to do the business, but it does leave us a little bit exposed on that right-hand side. I need to give a little bit more thought to the under-20 players in the squad. I thought we had a couple more of them who are capable of starting, but, you know, maybe we don't. Maybe we don't. I'm not entirely sure, but there we go. Well done, Tom. Nice to be nice and prepared for your first video of a new season. You get that messed up. But as we do speak about some of the youth intake, we do have some players to rename because of the Patreon. First of all, Alexei Nutsevich is, I think, how you say this name, but we're going to have a far easier time saying a different name instead. So thank you to Patrick Hartman for deciding to have this as your player. And thank you for your continued contributions on the Patreon. Now, on the Patreon, because obviously we had a very successful time on Hot to the Top with players, but everyone used their real names. So we had Alex Smith Amazing playing every season pretty much and was fantastic. The issue is, potentially Alex Smith could pick the star player every single time, and every single season we could have an Alex Smith, which might be a little bit repetitive after a while. So I've decided that we need to sort of rename some of these players something slightly different. So because we're in Belarus, and this is possibly a terrible idea, I looked at popular Belarusian names and most of them seem to end in things like ov or car or ski and things like that. I did Google this and it's probably terribly wrong. I'm probably going to regret this going forward, as I'm probably going to offend probably every Belarusian who watches this, and anyone who watches this maybe, but I decided that we're going to have slightly different names and putting things like ov on the end of your name to just try and make it a little bit more unique. So we don't have an Alex Smith every single time. We have like an Alex Smithovsky or something like that. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. But the guys on the Patreon seem to have taken this quite well, so maybe it's not that offensive. I don't know. I'm not sure. But either way, Patrick Hartman has decided that Alexei Nutsevich going forward is going to be called, let me just get this up a sec. He's going to be called Gompi Hartmanov. which I think is quite a cool name. I love the first name. Gompi is such a good first name. I mean, I've never heard anyone called Gompi, but there we go. I like that. But Hartmanov is a good name there. So, welcome to our club, Gompi Hartmanov. Also, a massive thank you to Patrick Davis this time, who is going to be taking over Mikhail Martinez. He is going to be now known as Patrick Davinsky. If we can... I don't know why I've managed to get that up. Preferences. I didn't want that to get up. I want to just set my next name. I want it to be called Patrick Davinsky. There we go. Love to see it. Finally, Dmitry Pechenin. He is also going to be renamed. And thank you to Dan Binchley for your contributions on the Patreon, as ever. Thank you so much for all that. You are now going to be renamed, which I think is probably my favourite name out of all of them, because I think it's pretty cool. We're going to be called Danintry Binchov, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Danintry Binchov, you love to see it. So there we go, 3 new players joining the squad pretty much, and hopefully plenty more to come as we progress through the saves and get going with things in Around the Bloc. But that is the team for this first game of this season. Of course, we've introduced a few new signings and things like that, so we'll see more of them as we go through the series, but we want to get a nice win today to start off the season. Before we get into the game, though, actually, the table has changed. There's now 16 teams in the league, which means there's 2 relegation spots now, but also there's 2 automatic promotion spots and 2 playoff spots now, because apparently in the division above us, if we go to the Belorussian First League upper division, there are now 4 relegation spots. So 2 go down automatically and 2 go into a relegation playoff. So actually, more opportunities for us to get promoted this season. All we have to do is finish in the top 4, and we've got a great chance. Anyway, kickoff is upon us today. The first game of the 2020 season for us. Naftan versus Slonim. This should be a pretty good game for us, and hopefully we're going to see some great stuff from our new players. Shakov puts it up towards our new striker, but doesn't win the ball, and Tomelo gets it across to Farago instead. Gets it out to Sitko. Sitko looking to come forward into Abademi, who shoots from distance, putting it just wide. But in that 30 seconds, I think I've seen more from Abademi there than I did the entirety of last season. He's playing for a new contract, although he's a month-to-month contract, and I think it's like a full-paid contract pretty much. So he's not really got much to complain about, I don't think, going forward. But Shakov into Zach, back to Crazy, who I think is one of my favourite centre-backs ever, because he's got a cool name. I think he's a bit underrated so far. We'll get to see more about him. There's our boy Shitty Gel. You love to see it. Shitty Gel gets it through to Farago, and it's been given us offside, unfortunately. But that's a great little attacking move from us. Shows that we are capable of scoring goals. Shows that Shitty Gel is still capable of putting some killer balls through. And Farago already showing how good he is at finishing balls and putting it into the back of the nets. Abademi's ball, not fantastic, as Zukov looks to clear it up to their Slonim striker, but he gets tackled and it goes all the way back, and Farago picks up the loose ball, shoots and scores. Dennis Farago is going to get 20 goals this season. I can feel it coming. He gets his first of the season inside of 20 minutes here. Great hoof up the ball from Dorisov. Their defender just loses possession and, just messes around with it, and Farago takes advantage of that and puts it past the keeper into the bottom net. So, brilliant stuff. 1-0 up in the first game of the season. We're still on that counter-attacking style of play, because that is what the board are desperate for. They love a good counter-attacking style of play. Znak puts that just wide of the post, but I can't really see us playing counter-attacking football. 10 shots to 0 shots. It feels like we are all over them, as I think Sitko has just put that in the back of the net to make it 2-0 just before half-time. Znak with a great free kick from the right-hand side of the pitch, and Sitko, the new right winger, nodding it past the keeper there to take us 2-0 up in today's game. What a perfect start to the season. Also, a pretty good start to the season for Baranovici and Kimmich, 2 of the clubs that we applied for, as well as Naftan before we took the Naftan job. So I'd like to see a big promotion battle between the 3 of us. That'd be pretty exciting towards the end of the season. But good to see us all off to winning ways thus far, as we're going to go calm. Oh, I've given it to my assistant instead. I didn't mean to do that. I was going to go calmly and just say calm down or something like that, but I accidentally put it on my assistant manager. This guy, Putlin, is having a terrible first game of the season. I don't think I've ever seen a 4.4 rating. I think I've ever seen a rating that low. 4.4. He's gone off the pitch now. That's how bad he's playing. He's off the pitch. Understandably so, as I've accidentally zoomed in on the pitch there, as Slonim are looking to come forward. Good collection there from Sakovic in goal, as he looks to clear this one out, I've got to say. Get it out from the back. Up to Farago, who collects that loose ball. Not quite. It goes back to the defenders there as Zukov puts it out wide. We've got 20 minutes to go, so we need to make some substitutes in a moment's time or so, as Shitty Gel gets on the end of a loop ball. Rapiko puts it up towards Farago. Farago, come on! Oh, saved by the keeper. He could have made it 2 there. What a great start to the game he's had, or a great start to the season he has had. We are going to make some changes, though. Right. there's a few players that I kind of want to introduce to you as well. We want to get Strejkovic on the pitch at some point, the right back. We've got to have another under-20 player on the pitch, haven't we? Kilman, is he under 20? He's 21. I can't remember who counts as under 20 players. That's the issue I've got right now. Okay, so I know who the under 20 players are now. They're the goalkeeper and the centre-back, which we probably need to sort out a little bit. Let's give the centre-back a debut, all right? Let's take him on for Borisov, who actually that's probably not the best thing to do because he's not a ball-playing defender. So let's bring on for Crazy instead. So now we've got 320 players on the pitch. We can bring on the right-back that we want to bring on as well. And actually, I kind of want to give a go to Kilman as well instead of Tamello, the other new left back that we brought in as well. So right left midfielder, I should say. So all three changes there. So I think that should be okay. 20 minutes ago, I can't see us sort of losing grasp on the game now with those three substitutes. But hopefully, nice to give them a bit of a debut and a bit of running out there. Hopefully, Vysotsky, which I'm going to get wrong so many times, hopefully he'll be a very good centre-back for us and will start to develop quite nicely as Rapiko looks to get the ball in the middle. Firago's there, hits the crossbar, bounces on my line. It didn't go over the line, unfortunately. I saw that pretty evenly. It didn't go over the line, unfortunately. But great opportunities for Firago today. He has been playing incredibly well. Is going to score plenty of goals this season if he keeps playing like this, I've got to say. He is sitting on an 8.3 rating right now, so he is clearly the man of the match, in my opinion, as the clock is ticking down. By the looks of things, we've won this one 2-0, a fantastic start to the season, and if we can just keep this up, that would be fantastic as we go fourth in the table after the first round of fixtures. Beautiful stuff. Well done, lads. A very good win for us. Unfortunately, Baranovici ended up losing their game and then Kimmich ended up drawing their game. So, I mean, I'd like both of them to be up near the top of the table with us to try and, you know, have a title battle with us, but I'm not entirely sure they are going to be there come the end of the season. But again, it's very early days, plenty to go on. Leida, I'd like to see them up there as well because, of course, we put a job in offer. We put a job application in for them, didn't we, as well? So that's another club that we could potentially have a title fight with and have a bit of clickbait towards the end of the season with, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Firago scores on his Naftan debut, which was fantastic stuff. Great to see that with his 8.3 rating as well. And all his shots on target as well, which is what you love to see. Keep getting shots on target. You're going to score goals. For next episode, though, I think we come back for the very start of May. I'm going to play these 4 games off camera, and we'll come back for games against Kletsk and Smolovici, which is, again, I've probably butchered completely. You're going to hear that so many times throughout this series, butchering names and things like that. But these are the 2 teams that we're going to go for. I'm going to go and get to know some of these players a little bit better. But I will see you for those 2. So have a fantastic evening. Make sure you keep safe and look after yourself. And I will see you around. Have a good one. Goodbye.